All right. Hello, good morning. So, yeah, so I actually have sorry, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm here looking at a PR from one of my colleagues, Jasper. Jasper Rooney, as I call him in my head. I don't think I've ever called him that out loud until now. But yeah, he's been so Jasper has been working on he joined CodeSandbox a few months ago. Has it almost been a year? I think. Anyways, so he's actually been one of the maintainers of Parcel. Really smart dude. Loves the nitty gritty, deep stuff of like with Parcel, AST stuff. He's been working on the language server. Like it's where things typically feels daunting. That's where Jasper, that's where he embraces it. So he's been working on optimizations for the client. So I thought we could look at that after I show you the demo. Because I also have a part in this story to refactor something. But yeah, so yeah, and I thought maybe to do the stream because now I don't have any projects lined up to work on. Like I have some ideas, but I'm not like super motivated to work on them. So I thought I would use the stream to just work on working on the code base of CodeSandbox projects, like looking at PRs, and I have some smaller refactors to adjust to the new features pattern and stuff like that. Anyways, so let me show you the actual demo. Oh, nice! We got the new loader. That's awesome. Yeah, another colleague of mine, Marco, he's a designer who does, like, some of our designers does like user experience, working on the project editor and like the core feature set, while Marco is more related to brand and the homepage and stuff like that. But he's amazing. Like he designed all our stuff, you know, the what's it called, like sweaters and stuff like that. What's it called? Anyways, doesn't matter. Yeah, and it's really cool because all of our designers are Brazilian, I think. And I talked to Zé, one of the other designers at the assembly, about like there seem like, as in every field, there are like shifts in trends and stuff like that. And now it's like big and loud is and maybe that's always been like that, because that's how we boring Norwegians think about Brazilian. They're like big, loud colors and stuff like that. But I love how we've been able to like have that as like the communication. It's about fun. It's about creativity, people meeting. But at the same time, we have this very low key design on the editor. So balancing those two things is they're really good at that. Let's see. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to build, and then we're going to try to run the thingy. I have a meeting at 10:30, so we have until then. Okay, so build that, and then we're going to run the reset demo. Okay, so now we should have some Git history here soon. There we have it. Cool. And now I should be able to start. So let's just stop this, and then we'll rather do edit PR. So we kind of do it as we would actually do it on some other branch. Okay, so demo time. Here we have like a fake PR where I have one commit where I used a utility. I created this utility of increment and decrement, and I'm consuming that in this index file. But then I have another commit where I fixed the comments for the utility. And then I decided, no, wait, I actually want to use a utility instead. So now I added that utility. I wanted to check if it actually worked. And then I added this. I haven't actually gone through it like this, but this is so, like, even though this is a fake example, which simplifies, like you typically wouldn't get into it in this exact example. But as complexity increases, it's the same thing. And then I added a dependency. And then, of course, another commit to remove the log. So what we're going to do now, we're going to retell this story. So let's move into edit mode. And you can see I've added these pluses in between here. So what we're going to do first, we're going to look at this utility, and instead of like having these 3 versions of it, we're actually going to select this one. Well, what I'm going to say first is that, okay, we can now select this hunk, and I'll talk about the hunk and stuff like that. And then we can move it over here. And now we kind of see that we have the overlapping hunks, which is not really fixed yet. I'm not sure how to do that. But instead of moving the hunks, we can select the whole thing and we can move that over. So now we have everything in one commit. And what we're going to do is we're going to rename this to create utility, like that. And then I want to actually adding the dependency. I actually want that to be my first commit. So I'm going to add a new commit here. We're going to say add sweet math. And then we'll move that over there. This actually feels super great. So now we have a new commit which has add sweet math. And then we have the actual UI implementation. So this is where the UX currently breaks a little bit. It doesn't break, but this is where it could certainly be improved, because you don't really see what commits are actually available to you now, because this indication just says that this file is not part of this commit. But I would also love to know if nothing is part of this commit anymore, because that's the case now. Like, I don't have anything in this commit, but it's not really highlighted. And what I want to do is I want to say consume utility here, and then I want to move this over here, and that over there. So now we have everything in here, and you can see it even handles the diff. It handles actually not indicating the addition and removal of the console log, so that's also fixed. And what we can see now when we toggle back is that, okay, my first commit is adding the package here. And then my next commit is to add a file where we have the correct implementation of the utility. And then my final commit is actually consuming that utility in the UI. Right? That's a good demo. This is a good demo. I'm super happy about this. And this is only to, like, I've talked about this so many times, but the complexity of, like, it has taken me like two approaches to even get here, like completely 2 different approaches how to deal with this, and then like 3 weeks of figuring out, like, converting to operations and diffing and everything. And now we're actually here and you can argue, is this a good idea or not? Or I don't care about that. Like, we have actually been able to create something that we can build upon, where we can actually nail down a user experience, find the correct constraints, and so on and so on. So what I should be able to do now, I should be able to update this, I think. Git push. Yeah, I just have to set I have to remember this in the demo. Priceless. Yeah, I think I'm just going to prepare. Oh, price less. Like that, because now I have to, I didn't have anything remote before. So if I say open PR here, yeah, and I should really have the PR as well. Okay, so that's what I should prepare. So what should happen now is when I do here, and I should say update, and when I go here, that didn't work. That didn't work for some reason. Oh yeah, because I don't think I actually push it right now, but we should be able to see it here, I thought. It doesn't seem like it actually wrote oh yeah, now it's back to where it was. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. That's something we need to fix. But we're not going to fix that now. And it really isn't that important, because one thing I really want to highlight as well is how, well, yeah, we do need to fix it. Okay, let's just, today it's Wednesday, Thursday tomorrow. What am I doing tomorrow? Yeah, I'm maybe we can rather fix this on the stream tomorrow. I can fix it later tonight. Yeah, because I want to start in GitHub, because I want to talk about how you always go to file changes, and then you have like select, hold, shift. Yeah, so here you kind of like, it's so fiddly. So if I want to see, okay, what happened on this commit, like, it's a really bad experience. Because you want to look at each commit, right? You want to look at each chapter of change. But here you just click them. Like, it's instant. Like, the experience is, and this is where CodeSandbox has a huge opportunity, because we are actually doing all the work of managing a branch in the running branch itself. Like, there's so much opportunity there. Anyways, let's see. Significantly improves performance of File Explorer and Editor in general, about twice as fast for the CSP app. This can mainly Windows. It should be tools and merges as moving things around and adding memo here and there. Recording with FPS counter. Yeah, this is also on towards better. Yeah, because we haven't done anything to optimize, because we haven't really figured out exactly how we want to implement the editor, but that's being settled more and more now. So having someone chasing possible optimizations now is really good timing. Isolate File Explorer tree from command registration, create separate context for using File Explorer dispatch. Yeah, exactly. This is, I wonder if we could have a utility for this. It's really interesting. Like, when you consume like a reducer from a context, and you only care about the dispatch, the component will reconcile whenever the state updates, even though it doesn't even look at the state. And this is like React's biggest problem. It's It's how you can't fine-tune a reconciliation using the context. And I think there are some discussions around it, how you can do that, but nothing. And I think there's even like some hacky utilities for it already. Replace usage of box with li. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's also interesting. Yeah, so we're actually creating a guideline for the components. So the optimization section should really have avoid heavy components. Avoid books. Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's see here. As Jasper mentions, it's not really that much. Oh, profile prod, cool. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, workspace dispatcher. Yeah, because you can't really. Yeah, I'm just thinking about our features pattern. Let's see. Let's just open this in the web editor. Thinking about our features pattern, because our features pattern doesn't take into account, like, it can be any implementation. It can expose a reducer, but it not necessarily. So it's interesting how I think that just needs to be a pattern, really. Like if you have a reducer where you only want to expose the dispatcher or consume the dispatcher, we just have to kind of give an example of how you do that. Okay, so it's basically using the dispatcher blah 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 blah. As open folders. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, it's just a bunch of dispatchers. Yeah, and then memoizing this. Using callback, nice. And this is so interesting. Like, in terms of optimization, I remember discussing this. I think it was someone. I think I actually had an opportunity to talk to someone at the React team. But you can see here there's quite a few properties. So every time this component tries to reconcile, it will actually, like, previous prop, next prop, previous prop, next prop. It will actually compare all of these. And then the argument is like that comparison also has a cost. So sometimes, and it's so hard to, because you don't know how often this component will actually reconcile. So it's like impossible to really, you have to follow your gut instinct. But the point is that there is, if the contents of this file button is very small, like maybe it's just a single element which has some props, then this comparison and if the properties changes more often than they do not, then it's not worth having a memo. Then it's better to just go through here and it only does a reconciliation comparison, which is basically the same, right? Reconciliation is comparing previous prop with next prop on all the stuff you return from the component. yeah. But here, like the file tree, it like it updates a ton. So this makes total sense. But it's just interesting how, like, you can't confidently, like, it's so complex. And as I said, it's like a gut instinct. And then, like, you have the overall profiling, of course. Anyways, blah 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 blah. So what Jasper basically has done here is moved all. So that's the thing. Like, every single element or component in the file explorer just had like inline functions on their props, and so on. So Jasper had moved them to use callback instead, so that they do not change reference on every reconciliation. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, yeah, it's just, yeah, and this kind of diff, and this is not, has nothing to do with how Jasper writes his code. This is just this kind of diff is a huge problem, and I hope for me, like, I can't take this. And it would be the same in the edit PR thing. I wonder if there's a better way to deal with this kind of diffs, where you can't really, like, just looking at this, it's really hard to like relate the two things because they are happening on different lines and stuff like that. It's not like the best kind of diff is like a line by line comparison. But yeah, I wonder if there's a better way to kind of make this easier for us as developers to understand this change. But anyways, use callback. Yeah, but I don't think I need to. I was just curious about how Jasper chose to file PR change. Oh, sorry. Okay, so he didn't file flat tree. Okay. Use tabs. I just wanted to look at the implementation of, because it ties into, I'm thinking about updating the guidelines for the features pattern. So I want to see, yeah, here it is. Dispatcher context. And this is what I don't like about hunks. Like, now I'm not actually seeing the context I want, which is why I don't think this collapsing thing is the best approach for code reviews. It's more giving the full file and then highlighting the hunks like we did in the edit PR. But as you saw, I used the arrow keys to kind of move between them, but then you always have the full context of the thing. Because the hunks doesn't understand the code. It just understands like indents and stuff. So I think that's what we were actually seeing here. It's no, what the hell did I do? Yeah, anyways, I think that's what we saw, because I could only see this, and I think it was looking at indentation or something. But all this other stuff is actually important. Okay, so it exposes the dispatcher, yeah, specifically on, yeah, but I think that's perfectly fine. And maybe they should be different. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, but this is fine. I think this is a good way to do it. Yeah, let's add that to the guidelines on our PR. Yeah, but I think this is great. there are a lot of changes there, but as Jasper pointed out, it's basically like these kinds of PRs. I don't understand how people can work without TypeScript. How can they work on big projects like this and do any changes at all? Like they, like you have to have TypeScript. Dispatch approach to the guidelines on a separate PR. Let me just I think this is perfectly fine. I'll add this to the guidelines on a separate PR. Okay, awesome. Good job, Jasper. Oh, it's amazing. Like I remember when we first started CodeSandbox Projects, we have this thing called Pitcher, which is like the thing that's running the flow. Yeah, but I mean type checking. Yeah, so I didn't mean TypeScript specifically, but type checking. Which is why I wonder about Vue as well, and Angular. Like they have templates where, like that's the thing about React. Like you get free type checking because you write the UI in JavaScript. But when you have this separate templating language, you don't have type inference there. And that's the one thing you want to make sure of, is like if you change some state, you want to know what UI has been affected by that. Yeah, sorry, Dan. I should have said type checking. But yeah, like that's the one thing you want to know, is how is my UI affected by this? So I don't understand how people can do any kind of refactors in like typical Vue projects, which doesn't have type checking in the templates, and Angular as well. I think it used to be horrible. At least I think they have some custom type checking on their templates, but it used to be horrible. Like it was super slow. But that's like a long time ago, so maybe it's much better now. But yeah. But what we're going to do now, we're going to leave this. We are going to we have a few minutes, so we can at least start the PR. CodeSandbox applications, start a new branch. And then let's start with the guidelines, features. Let's see. So this is shared state and effects. So what should we call this? This is basically, yeah, so what's interesting about this is now we have a utility for exposing the hook through a, yeah, so I think this is what we kind of have to look at now. Because now we have a utility that we use to expose any hook on a context, on a common context. But now what we want to do is we want to expose like certain parts. Oh, but I actually think, yeah, so let's imagine here you have this, let's create hooks provider. So use something is returning use state. So what if you wanted to expose set state on a hook? What I would imagine you do is, what the hell is this? Chunks, anyways. that you would actually, let's just inline it here. You would just use something set state. Yeah, no, yeah. Wait, this works. So you would return use something. Yeah, this is actually heavily simplified. Oh, this is interesting. What happens if we use something? No, this is fine. Use something and we say 1, right? Because that's the set state. And then we would just do the same thing here. Register hook. And now, since the return value here is what's actually put on the context, it will only reconcile when that thing changes. This is beautiful. If you want to expose, oh, this is beautiful. Certain parts of a hook on its own context, like a dispatcher. Yeah, that's an initial state. Let's just use reducer, initial, blah, blah, blah. Use something like a dispatcher, create a new registered hook. This is beautiful because now this is actually optimized as well. And our point with this utility is to help us create hooks. It's totally up to the developer how to implement that hook. We don't care about if it's a reducer, some library, it doesn't matter. Just choose the right tool for the job or explore something new, doesn't matter. And then we have a generic way of exposing the functionality of that as a common hook for every component, or a singleton. Or you just use you don't use this register hook, which makes it a hook that like instantiates every time you use it, like in different components. But happy to see that this actually also supported this optimization that Jasper identified. Use something dispatcher. Great. Okay, PM lock anyone. Add example of consuming parts of hook. Cool. So what we're going to do now, we're going to look at the actual file explorer, but we're going to do that. I don't know why this PM thing. Yeah, interesting. Is it still broken? Restart task. This is weird. Why isn't this working? Did we break something? Weird. Okay, so let's open this in VS Code, because I need some epic type checking for this. What we're looking at is, we're looking at the features, and we have the file explorer. And this file explorer isn't following our new pattern yet. So we're going to review this a little bit, and then we're going to actually move this into the new pattern, but we're also going to what's it called? Refactor it to the latest React states. And on that note, I wonder if we actually have the latest code for React states. Yeah, we can check that. Do we actually have time for this? Let's see. I'm just going to make sure that we actually have the latest code for React states. And how are we actually consuming this now? So we have, fuck, yeah, because we have use state effect, which is not what we're actually supposed to use. It's called, is it called use state effect? Can't remember. I think I'm calling it use transition effect. Okay, so we need to update that. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so we probably won't get too far here. Can I start my own repo? Oh, I did start my own repo. Of course I did. Let's see. So in the source index raw, let's copy that. Source index. We have the index test raw. Yeah, not sure what's happening here. And then I think maybe I made changes to the dev tools as well. But yeah, let's just test. I don't think this actually has any changes. Dev tools. Last month, 4 months ago. It's a long time ago. Let's do the last month. 2 months ago. Can I download this? Okay, let's just clone it locally. Branch main. And then can I select all of them? Copy. And then we'll paste them in here. Paste. Oh, thank you for that. That was definitely not the result I wanted. Delete. I'm trying to find an argument to buy the new MacBook Air. I want it because I like the color and a tiny bit bigger screen, and that the camera is like embedded into the screen. I like that. But I don't need it for computing power. It's interesting. I have the MacBook Air M1 and it's like more than I need. It's very, very interesting. So suddenly like buying a computer isn't about the power. It's actually about other things. That's a first for me. Let's see, package JSON. Okay, let's try building this. Web, CodeSandbox, states, pm build. Did it run? Yeah, it ran. Yeah, you want one? lead times. What's lead times? I haven't heard that term. Like delivery? Let's see. Where were we at? Let's close this. So now we should have some changes here, like the dev tools. Yeah, cool. And now we have updated that one, and now like we should get some errors on these ones. Guess we have to restart the TS server. Yeah, from order to delivery. Yeah, lead time. Yeah, funny, I haven't. So it's called use transition effect now. It's so let's change that. Use transition effect, but it works exactly the same. Nice, cool, and that's basically it. So now we actually have some time to look at one thing I'm curious about though is looking at the Apple event. It's the staging feature, like the window management, because I like having full screen, and I wonder how I will feel about like having this offset thing here. Yeah, but maybe it will be a good thing, because I don't like the window management the way I do it now. I like jump through it all the time, and it's not, yeah, I don't like it. So I'm hopeful. But yeah, time will tell. Update to latest React state source. Yeah, because we have our own version of React states in here. Because this will actually become the official package when we kind of make it a thing. Okay, cool. Let's go into the file explorer. So I can't even remember that pattern. So we need to have like an index file. Let's see, file explorer. And this shouldn't, let's just comment out this part for now. We do need a provider. Well, we need a tests folder. We need a provider folder. I think it can be just TS. Yeah, it can just be TS. Anyways, let's just copy this. I'm lazy. So why doesn't it find this? Oh, yeah. Don't we have like utils, hooks provider? Let's see, we're doing this for the branch management. Yeah, it works there. Create, oh, create hooks provider. Okay, we need to update the guideline with this. Okay. Yeah, let's just shove it in here. And does it actually take, where's the feature? Does it actually take any props? It does. So let's put that into the provider. CUID, it's coming from picture client. Yeah, and then we have initial state. It's coming from, well, currently it's coming from types. We'll see if we change that. Probably from there. And then we have file explorer consumer. Cool. That's it. That's our provider. And then what we want to do is we want to move all of this logic into a hook. So now what happens is that we should just call this rename, because now I think it was, yeah, dispatch. Okay, so let's rename this to use file explorer, and we're going to, it's not going to receive any of these props here. We're just going to say export const use file explorer, and this is going to be register hook, which means that now these things should be typed. They don't seem to be right now, but they will be shortly. Yeah, and we don't need children because we're not going to return any of this. We're just going to return the feature. So now we have a hook instead of a context provider. Cool. But it works exactly the same way. But we don't need this context. We don't need this. We don't need this or this or this. Let's remove everything we don't need. This is cleaning up nicely. So now we have a hook instead. And yeah, so we'll refactor this to the pattern first and make sure it works, and then we can refactor it to the latest version of React states, which we don't have time for. But now we have use file explorer. So what we're going to export here is from provider. Is this how it was in the guideline? No, yeah, not everything, but we're going to export these two. And then we're going to export use file explorer from use file explorer. Wasn't that the name? Oh, did I have a typo? Anyways. Cool. So we should move our test in here and rename that to use file explorer.test. And we need to fix that test. Yeah, and we're also going to say what's the complexity of use file explorer now? So I think it's perfectly okay that we move the reducer into, yeah, because we're going to clean up this reducer quite well. So let's just shove it in here for now. We don't have to export it. Cool, so we don't need that file anymore. And we can still have the types and the utils, that's okay. Mux, okay. I guess we can move that into tests as well. Okay, I think we should just be happy about this. I wonder if it actually runs now. Because we are exporting the same stuff. Use command effect. It's not a function. Use temp secrets. Oh, shit. Oh, sorry. I didn't know. Okay, so we have to refactor both. Oh, shit. I wasn't aware that the secrets was using, but this is such a simple one. So I think we're just going to end it here, and then we're going to continue, and we'll actually refactor both of them. Yeah, or we can do this one first, and then we'll do a second commit where we actually do the... Yeah. Okay, use transition effect. So let's just quickly... Because what we're going to do here is... Yeah. Secrets reducer, we are subscribing, and then we're going to use transition effect instead. Because what we want to do is... Yeah, Dan, this was fun, and I'm excited. I'm so relieved that we have a running edit PR demo now. So we can do other fun stuff and feel a bit more productive. It's long, like it's such a haul, is that a term? To kind of finalize. You know, the last 10% feels like 90%. But let's see, use transition effect. And where do we actually... so it moves into... So we're putting... Yeah, so that is like... That's a command effect now, but it doesn't have to be. Because every time we move into... Oh, interesting. This is how we actually... So when... Okay, so it's not an explicit state of putting. But that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so the thing we actually want to do here, we want to say that whenever we move to idle, given the put secrets, that's where we want to do the putting. And we get the secrets from here. Just, yeah. So whenever we go from idle, whenever we move to idle, given the action put secrets, we put the secrets. So we're not using the command anymore. And then we want to get the secrets, which is like getting. And that is actually an explicit state. So I would actually make putting an explicit state as well. But I'm going to rather, maybe there's something here I don't see. But getting is definitely just a normal transition effect. State, getting. What are you complaining about? Oh, sorry, there we go. So we only put the secrets if we move into our idle state from the action put secrets. And we fetch the secrets when we move into a getting state. So that means we don't need this command. Cool. Yeah, that's basically it. Okay. Let's see if this runs now. Is this actually using the... Yeah, use temp secrets. Damn it. Use explorer create file command. Oh yeah. Oh, let's just... Sorry, I have to test this. So we wanted to have... Where are we? File Explorer. So the question is, yeah, I think we can actually expose it here as well. So let's try this thing. Return use File Explorer 1 and then register hook. Well, I guess it's interesting. Like this one, we actually don't need to share. Yeah, that's interesting. Because it's actually using a shared one. We're just exposing explicit. Oh, this is super nice. I guess the only negative thing is it's like it might be a bit implicit. Like you don't really understand it just looking at it. But it's actually super nice. Okay, so it's actually running. So let's commit this and then we'll move to new pattern and adjust secrets to latest React states. Cool. I have to make a call. And yeah, thanks for a good session. This was fun. Talk to you tomorrow.